Lou Woods is the older brother of Jeffrey Woods. He is extremely dangerous, unless, of course, you are not within the profile of the people who usually kill. It all started one night, the night that Jeff Woods went completely crazy and murdered his parents, and his beloved brother, Lou Woods. When Jeff stopped being the boy he was and became a soulless monster with the pure desire to kill, but really had his brother Lou died after receiving multiple cuts and stab wounds. No, I survived the attack of my brother. As punishment, I crawled like a vile worm, to bleed every inch that I ran. I felt like my lungs were exploding, like I was drowning in my own blood. As my heart broke with effort, but I continued with the strength of my desperation and anger toward Jeff. Then everything went black for me. I fainted. It took me a long time to wake up. I was in a very lit room and full of tubes and medicine. I felt my body, but I just couldn't talk, couldn't eat. I was fed through a tube, breathing through an artificial lung. I could barely make out who I was. I just heard a doctor talking to the nurse saying, "This patient will not survive. He needs many transplants. His left lung collapsed. His heart is very delicate, and his kidneys are failing. It is almost impossible to survive." Those words took away all hope of surviving what had happened. The day came that I would need transplants, and as I could not speak and was still pretty sedated, I could not express my joy at that moment. So, I saved it for when I recovered. The nurse said, "Hi, I'm Susan. I wish you the best of luck. You're very strong, barely survived that assassination attempt. I personally wanted to take care of you, because I greatly admire your strength. I would like that when you ever get out of the hospital." She kissed my cheek and blushed. I could not deny it. She was a very beautiful girl, but I didn't know if I would live. It's time where you decide to live or die. The doctor told me that as being a young man, I was very strong and had survived so long. I was likely to survive. I put the mask on and fell asleep. But why even being asleep? I felt what they did to me. At that moment, I felt a cold blade pierce the side of my heart. The first cut was the most painful. Then something opened my skin. The pain was more intense. With each passing second, each cut was more painful than the last. But the most painful was when it started cutting out my heart. That moment was just the beginning of my torture. Hours of excruciating pain, every cut, every part of my body, every suture. All the pain through my body destroyed what little sanity I had left, until it shattered. I spent days in that bed, unable to move, unable to speak. I only heard the voice of that nurse. Susan was with me day and night, talking to me, telling me to resist. She wanted me to live. I wanted to know really, and hoped to talk to her and hear my voice. I spent a week, and more often she went and came and sang to me, read to me. But one day, before they moved my body, I said, "I want to wake up." I started to feel my body manage to open my eyes, and I saw her. She cried with joy to see me wake up. I said, "Hi Susan, I'm Lou Woods." Said, "Seriously, your brother, Jeff Woods. He was here for a while. He is really bad, but I found out he went crazy and killed your family. How did you survive, Lou? I also found out he kidnapped a child and bleached and burned the house and escaped from there, and has not been seen since. But in this house, well, what's left of it, all that was found were 2 dead bodies. They say the girl survived, but they don't know what happened to your brother Jeff. Some said it took him, but in the room where his brother slept, that is, where you slept, they found written blood on the wall. Go to sleep. And written in the bathroom mirror, smile. I'm really sorry for the death of your parents, really. And as I do not think you want to return to that place, you want to stay in my house for a while? Well, when you get out of recovery, I live alone, since my parents died in a car accident. So I have an extra room. I accepted Susan's offer and said, when I leave here, I want to take you to dinner, wherever you want. Just, I need one day for you to come with me to my old home to pick up my clothes. But I don't think they're still there. The following day, she visited me. Every day we laughed together. We were very close. Almost seemed like we were a couple. So I said that if you wanted to be my girlfriend, she said, Lou, I want to be your girlfriend. I was going to ask, but didn't know how. She approached me, and we kissed. I was so happy. Thanks for looking out for me. She would be my new family. I left the hospital. It was my first day out. Susan greeted me with open arms, as it was day. I told her we need to get my clothes from my old home. I said, yes, but you have to bring something to protect us if my brother is still lying around. She said, okay, I got a couple butcher knives, a syringe, some painkillers, also some equipment for emergencies. In case we need suturing, you or me, if any glass that causes a wound needs stitches. A gallon of water and 2 glasses as we get thirsty. We went to my house and picked up everything I needed, plus a bag to carry my stuff. Back to my old home, I said, fear not, all will be well. I kissed her to calm her down. I kicked open the door, we walked in, and saw that the walls of my house were covered with blood. The blood of my parents. In the kitchen we saw a gallon of gas, a vacuum of bleach, and some matches bottle. We continued touring the house. We see the bathroom, which the door was open, and saw the mirror with the phrase, smile, written in blood. The sink and floor were covered in blood. We see my parents' room, and the bed sheets were covered in blood. My whole house was just full of blood at the end. We entered the most disturbing part of my house, my room. The phrase, go to sleep, was written with blood on the wall, as Susan said. I looked in my closet, my belongings, my laptop, my MP3, my phone, and my phone was not covered in blood. When I turned to see my room, I remembered Jeff's disturbing face, watching me with those eyes full of madness, holding a bloody knife in his hand, saying, shh, just go to sleep. That memory is what ended up breaking what little sanity I had left. I told Susan to give me the bag where we had the supplies. I went to the bathroom, took one of the knives and said, Jeff, I'll see you and damned in hell when we die. I finished the sentence and spoke to Susan, then kissed her. I said, goodbye, my love, but I want to see Jeff to get back to what made me. Revenge. That he killed my parents and almost killed me. I love you, Susan, but, I cannot see it after I die. I regret this very much. I was going to stab her, but no, I did not. I would not become Jeff. I begged Susan to forgive me. I was concerned. She said, okay, Lou, I love you, and I know how getting so close to death can affect you. Let's go home. She kissed me. We ordered a taxi and went home. As I bathed, I remembered all the times I spent with my family. Mom, Dad, my childhood with Jeff, the pranks we did, everything we had together, the joy of having my family close by. I began to mourn, but the sound of the falling water drowned my sobs. The first night was somewhat traumatic for me. In my nightmares, I could see Jeff, as before the accident, as I was being brutally murdered by the new Jeff. Then turned to face me and said, "Lou, why did you not go to sleep when I asked?" I woke up with a terrible fright. Susan was running to my room. She said, "What happened to you? Are you okay?" I replied, "Yeah, it was just a nightmare. Don't worry." The next day, when I woke up, I smelled a scent that was long not been enjoyed. It was the smell of pancakes freshly made. I went to the dining room, and there was Susan, preparing breakfast, as Mom did. I sat down and began to eat. How much time had passed since eating pancakes made with love? I don't know, but the taste, it was so nice. I felt loved once again. But happiness does not last long. I was going crazy. Every day that passed, Susan reminded me more and more of Mom. So I took a kitchen knife, ran to her room. She was ready to go out with me on a date. She looked so beautiful. I didn't feel able to kill, not without knowing how much I love her. Not without feeling love one last time in my life. I love her, but I was becoming crazier. But increasingly, I could live without a knife in my heart. Could not be so. I did not kill her. But there was no other option, or I thought. Now leaving the theater, we walked home. I said, "I love you so much, Susan, but there is something inside me that is killing me. So I want you to know that I love you." After the phrase, a scumbag came out of an alley and he took Susan's bag after wounding her. He stormed off. I wanted to kill him for hurting Susan. I chased him with the knife that I had in my jacket. I dragged him into the alley where he stole the bag from my beloved. In front of her, I forced him to apologize. But it was still not enough. I wanted to take his life. But before this, I told Susan, "Run. I don't want you to see this. I love you, Susan." She ran as fast as she could. When I knew it was time, I told the guy, "I will not forgive you for hurting Susan. She is so good, so pure. Hurting someone is a very serious crime. So, I take your life, and only then you will pay for hurting her." I raised the knife and started to stab him repeatedly. I could only see suffering in the eyes of the man, but still, I kept stabbing him, until he died of multiple stab wounds. I wiped the blood from my leather jacket, which was a bit stained luckily, so it was easy to hide the fact that I killed a thief. Then I left the alley and met up with Susan in the corner cafe, taking a good strong espresso. She was fine. Manager bandaged her wound. I thanked him, brought Susan home very carefully, took her to her room and laid her down on her bed. I said, "Susan, I did not want this to happen to you, but I've noticed one thing. I will not let anyone hurt you. Starting today, you will never be afraid. No one will ever hurt you, I swear." I kissed her and went to take a shower. I realized I could not kill her. She was all I had in the world. She was the only person I loved, but I enjoyed killing the guy in the alley. But I could not kill anyone. I decided to just kill the people that hurt the innocent. And above all, I would kill anyone that tried to hurt Susan. Days passed, and over time I killed more people. But it was annoying to have pants covered in blood. So I bought leather pants, then killing was less annoying. Jacket and trousers, both of leather, which could be easily cleaned with white gas I had bought a while ago. Killing became an increasingly boring habit. Killing with simple stabbing got repetitive, so I began using modes more twisted every time. Some were burned alive with gasoline. Others were operated on without anesthesia. Others were forced to eat their own guts. Others were cut into pieces and given to stray dogs. But I would never kill an innocent. Killing criminals and thugs does not make me a hero. Making criminals suffer the most horrible deaths every day using more horrible and twisted ways to kill. Came home, cleaned my clothes from the blood of criminals, and spent a quality time with Susan. Until one day, I invited her to dinner. As I had a job as a cook in a restaurant, earning well, but I took her to a beautiful place in the light of the candles. I said, "Susan, we've been together for almost a year. I know you're the love of my life. I could not live without you. I want to propose something." I got on my knees and pulled a ring from my bag. "Will you marry me?" She was excited with tears in her eyes. She said, "Lou, I want to marry you." We left the restaurant. I had not felt so happy my entire life. But Dan came with a gun and shot her. I was filled with anger and hate, but I could not leave Susan there alone, bleeding, dying. I ran and took her to the nearest hospital. The doctors told me this is delicate. She may not wake. You should expect the worst. I went to get the dame who shot her. I never forgot the face, spent hours walking the streets until I found him. I hit him nearly senseless and said, "You will give your life, you bastard, because my Susan is on the verge of death, and you will pay with your life." He died in the time I finished the sentence. I arrived at the hospital, and the doctor said Susan was awake. He was talking to her. Susan saw me and said, "Lou, is that you? I'm glad you came. I hope to resist as well as you managed to resist what happened to you. I love you, Lou. I don't want to die. But if I do, I don't want you to kill yourself. I love you too much for you to die for me. I know what you did. I know you killed criminals, and although your methods are not very noble, the mission you have is, do not stop doing what you do, Lou." We spent an hour talking in which I said everything I needed to say. I did not lose it. I did not want to lose the only person left I love in the world. The doctors came in and said, "We need to operate Mr. Woods." She was taken to the operating room. I waited for 3 hours. That seemed eternal. I wanted to gouge out my eyes out of despair, but hope that Susan will survive kept me going. When the operation was finished, the doctor took care of everything, and he said, "The operation was a success. She is stable. She'll stay to recover for 2 weeks, and then she may leave the hospital." Those words touched me so much. I felt so peaceful knowing that Susan would be fine. I was in her room all day waiting for her to wake. She woke up and said, "Who are you? And where are my mom and dad?" Those words left me with sadness. Susan had forgotten me, but she had to remember me when she recovered. I took her to the hospital where we met. She said, "Are you Lou? You have changed." She began to remember. I took her to my old house, and she remembered why we were there. I took her to all the significant places for us during the week, until we reached the restaurant where I proposed. She remembered everything. I hugged her and she told me, "Lou, I remember it all. Thank you for being with me until I regained my memory." I said, "You did the same for me. I owe you a lot, Susan." I kissed her, but then she started convulsing. It scared me. I took her back to the hospital. I could not go on, but I loved her. I didn't leave the hospital. I was there to wait for the news from the doctor. And he said, "I'm sorry, sir, but your girlfriend has died." That phrase, it filled me with sadness and hatred. I took the doctor by the neck and broke it. There was no reason to hold back. I started to kill everyone in that hospital, men, women, children, and the sick. I killed them all. I could not bear to let them live, and my Susan not. She shouldn't have died like that. I would not let that happen, but it was inevitable. My clothes was covered in the blood of the innocent. My hands were covered and my eyes have changed. So I decided to do something. I went for a knife and started to cut a heart in my chest, with the initials of Susan, and her time of death, our anniversary, and the date on which we met. Then I went for a needle and thread, and I sewed the ends of my lips into a smile, for anyone to see that I suffered on the inside. When I finished, I went home, took my leather clothing and the things that I used for killing, and got out there, never to return. Now I live by killing all those who are happy, because if Susan was alive, no one would deserve happiness more. But when you see me, run, and do not show your happiness, or you will die in such a ruthless and twisted form, which your body may not be distinguishable as it was before meeting me, the murderer Liu, and survivor of Jeff the Killer.